Men, what if I told you that silence isn't weakness, it's wisdom? That pulling back isn't about manipulation, but about mastery? It might sound counterintuitive, but if you truly want to leave a lasting mark in her mind, stop chasing. Stop filling the space with noise. Let her feel the absence of your presence. And in that space, something profound begins to unfold. Most men believe that staying connected, constantly reaching out, is what builds attraction. They confuse effort with effectiveness, thinking that more contact means more care. But the truth is far more quiet and far more powerful. Silence disrupts the rhythm she's grown comfortable in. It takes away the certainty of your daily presence, your predictable attention, your emotional availability. Suddenly, she's left alone with questions, ones she never had to ask before. Why has he gone quiet? Is he letting go? Did I misread him or underestimate him? And here's the beauty. Those questions aren't answered by your words. They're answered by her own reflection, by how she reacts in your absence. Some women will reach out, not because they're ready to love you deeper, but because they're afraid of losing the power your presence once gave them. Others will pretend they're unbothered while quietly watching your every move. And a few will disappear completely. But let's be honest, those were never yours to lose. This isn't about games. It's about getting to the truth. About creating the space for both of you to see clearly. Because sometimes, only when you remove your energy can you see what was real and what was never built to last. So if you've ever struggled with knowing when to step back, this is your moment to reclaim your center. Let her actions reveal what words never could. And remember, the silence of a man rooted in purpose echoes far louder than the noise of a man chasing validation. If this message speaks to something you've felt but couldn't put into words, you're not alone. Like this video and subscribe to Stoic Station, where men learn to lead with calm, with strength, and with truth. Let's dive deeper. Sign number 1. She panics because the control slips. There's a moment, quiet and invisible, when a man chooses to stop reaching out, not out of anger, not to play games, but because he's finally realized that constantly offering his presence is no longer serving him. And when that moment arrives, when the steady rhythm of his messages suddenly stops, she feels it more deeply than she ever expected. She was used to the certainty. Your presence in her life may have felt routine, even ordinary, but it was a kind of emotional anchor. You were there, predictable, safe. And whether she admitted it or not, that reliability gave her a sense of control. She knew when to expect your texts. She understood the rhythm of your affection, and in that rhythm, she found comfort. But silence disrupts everything. It doesn't just remove your voice. It removes her sense of power in the dynamic. Suddenly, she's no longer sure where she stands with you. Did you lose interest? Are you talking to someone else? Have you finally seen your own worth and decided to pull away? That uncertainty creates a quiet panic. It doesn't always show up dramatically. Sometimes it arrives in a short message. Hey, you good? Or haven't heard from you in a while. It sounds casual, even friendly, but beneath those words is a deeper question that she doesn't know how to ask out loud. Do I still matter to you? And this is where most men falter. They take that message as an invitation to re-engage. They rush back in, eager to reassure her. But in doing so, they interrupt the very process that was beginning to shift the dynamic in their favor. The truth is, your silence is not a weapon. It's a mirror. It reflects back to her what she truly felt, but never said. It forces her to confront emotions she tried to suppress. And most importantly, it puts the power back where it belongs, within you. Don't break the silence to ease her discomfort. Let her sit with it. Let her feel the absence of something she once took for granted, because only when she truly feels your absence will she begin to understand the weight of your presence. And when that realization hits, it hits hard. Sign number 2. She acts like she doesn't care, but she feels everything. In the aftermath of your silence, she doesn't disappear. Instead, she becomes louder, strategically louder. Her social media lights up with laughter, filtered smiles, and carefully curated snapshots of a life that seems suddenly fuller without you. The captions speak of freedom. The songs she chooses for her stories echo confidence, independence, even joy. And to someone watching from the outside, it might look like she's moved on effortlessly. But you're not just anyone. You know the timing is too precise, the effort too deliberate. What appears to be a celebration is, in truth, a performance, and the intended audience is you. People who are truly indifferent don't work this hard to project indifference. They don't choreograph their public image to look untouchable. The woman who posts a photo at a party, laughing just a little too hard, isn't always having the time of her life. Often she's simply trying to provoke one specific reaction from one specific man, yours. She wants you to wonder. She wants you to question if she ever really cared. She hopes that seeing her thriving will make you reach out, not because she wants to reconnect from a place of truth, but because she needs to know she still has influence. And if you take the bait, you give her exactly that. You reinforce the illusion that she can lose you and still win the game. But the wiser man, the one grounded in his own center, doesn't move from emotion. He doesn't react to image. He understands that the most powerful energy is calm, silent self-respect. He lets her project whatever she needs to, but he stays still. This is not about punishment or ego, it's about awareness. You've stepped out of the performance, and now you see it for what it is. The louder she tries to seem unaffected, the clearer it becomes. Your silence struck a nerve. And when she's alone, when the music fades and the camera is off, the echo of your absence lingers, because what she's truly struggling with isn't your silence, it's what it reveals. That behind all the curated confidence, she still feels something. She just doesn't know how to admit it. So let her act, let her pose, let her pretend, but don't respond. Don't chase. Your restraint becomes the mirror she can't avoid, and in that reflection, she'll see the one thing she's been trying to hide from the world, that she cared far more than she let on. Sign number 3. She starts watching you from the shadows. She might not reach out. She might not like a post or leave a comment. But don't let the silence fool you. She's watching, quietly, closely, from the background. The moment you went quiet, you became something she couldn't predict anymore. And that shift, from familiar to uncertain, is what pulls her in deeper than before. Before, she could read you. She knew when you'd text, how you'd react, where your focus was. But now, you're no longer part of her daily updates. She doesn't have a window into your world like she used to. And instead of moving on, she turns to the only lens left, your digital footprint. Every story you post, every photo you share, she's there, watching, scrolling, replaying. Not because she wants to reconnect openly, but because she needs to feel some kind of closeness, even if it's one-sided. She's searching for signs. Who are you with? Do you look happy? Is there another woman? Her mind spins with questions she won't dare ask, because asking would mean admitting she still cares. Your silence turned into a mystery, and humans are inherently drawn to what they can't understand. When you stop offering updates, she starts to investigate. Not out of malice, but out of emotional habit. She once had access to you, and now that access is gone. That loss creates a vacuum, and nature abhors a vacuum. This is where your strength matters most. You may be tempted to post more, to subtly show her you're doing just fine. But oversharing gives her control again. It feeds her need for reassurance, even if it's indirect. Instead, the man who understands his value keeps his presence intentional, calm, and measured. You don't need to prove you're okay. You don't need to signal success. The fact that you're not chasing her speaks louder than any curated post ever could. Let her watch from the shadows. Let her wonder. You don't owe her clarity. In the stillness of your absence, you've become something she can't define anymore. And that quiet uncertainty, the not knowing, is what haunts her most. Sign number 4. She sends mixed signals to reclaim emotional power. There's a strange rhythm that begins when you pull away. One day, she reappears, liking a photo, leaving a casual comment, or sending a message that feels just warm enough to open a door. But just as quickly, she disappears again, pulling back into silence, leaving you guessing. This push and pull isn't random. It's deliberate, even if she doesn't fully realize it herself. It's her way of reclaiming emotional power in a dynamic she no longer controls. When you were the one reaching out, she could predict the flow. She could lean back, observe, and know exactly where she stood in your mind. But now, that certainty is gone. So she tests the waters, not with clarity, but with confusion. She wants to know, will you chase again if she shows a flicker of interest? Will you lose your composure when she turns cold the next day? This is the unspoken test most men fail. They get excited when she seems engaged, only to feel anxious and thrown off when she suddenly goes cold. They read into every small gesture, analyze every shift in tone, and in doing so, give away their center. But what she's really looking for isn't answers. It's emotional leverage. She wants to know if she still has the power to move you. But when you don't respond with the same up and down energy, when you remain calm, neutral and grounded regardless of her behavior, that's when the game begins to fall apart. She can't hook you with hot and cold anymore. Your steadiness becomes a mirror to her chaos. And in that stillness, you reclaim something far more valuable than her attention, your emotional sovereignty. The truth is, mixed signals are not a sign of deep love or conflict. They're often a reflection of inner uncertainty, a way of maintaining relevance without offering vulnerability. And when you stop reacting, you reveal just how much you've grown. You're no longer seeking signs. You're no longer needing clarity from someone who can't offer it consistently. Your emotional stability isn't just your edge, it's your boundary. It's what separates the man who's mastered himself from the one still waiting for permission to feel whole. And once she realizes she can no longer shake you, that's when she begins to question everything. Sign number 5. She starts doubting her decision to walk away. When she chose to walk away, she may have done it with quiet confidence. Maybe she believed you'd chase her, offer closure, or at least send one final message that confirmed your attachment. In her mind, she still had a sense of control, one built on the assumption that your presence in her life was something she could return to if she ever changed her mind. But when that doesn't happen, when you don't call, don't reach out, and don't seek answers, a shift begins to take place within her. Not all at once, but slowly and deeply. At first, she tells herself it's nothing. You'll reach out eventually. You always have. But days turn into silence, and silence turns into uncertainty. She begins to ask questions she never expected to confront. Did she misjudge you? Did she mistake your patience for weakness, only to now realize it was strength? Was the connection you shared deeper than she allowed herself to admit? Your quietness is no longer just a response. It becomes a mirror. In that reflection, she doesn't just see your absence. She sees her own assumptions, her own choices, and the emotional truth she may have tried to bury. And this is where doubt begins to creep in, gently at first, but unshakable. She replays the past, not just the mistakes, but the moments when you showed up, when you were solid, when you cared without needing attention in return. And now, without your energy anchoring her, she realizes what she dismissed wasn't weakness. It was rare. She wonders if the door she closed might never open again, and whether she just walked away from a man who had something real to offer. This is where your strength lies, not in proving your value to her, but in standing still while she remembers it on her own. You don't rebuild that connection by explaining yourself or seeking her out. You do it by becoming more of who you were always meant to be. While she questions, you evolve. While she reconsiders, you realign. Let time work in your favor. The man who no longer chases becomes the man she has to chase in her own mind. And when that happens, she begins to understand that letting you go wasn't a choice made from strength, but from misjudgment. Sign number 6, she tries to make you jealous because she misses control. After you go quiet, it often doesn't take long for her to start showing signs that she wants your attention again, but not in direct or honest ways. Instead, she begins to paint pictures meant to provoke. Suddenly she's in photos with other men, laughing a little too loudly, standing a little too close. There might be subtle tags, familiar names, and places you both once shared. On the surface, it may seem like she's moved on, but look closer and you'll see it for what it truly is. Not love, not connection, but a performance designed to draw your eyes and stir your emotions. The truth behind these actions isn't confidence, it's control, or at least the illusion of it. When you stopped giving her attention, you took something away that she wasn't ready to lose. And rather than confront the silence with vulnerability, she tries to reclaim power in the only way she knows how, by provoking a reaction. Jealousy is the tool, not because she wants someone new, but because she wants to feel that she still holds space in your heart. If she can make you look, flinch, or respond, it confirms that she still matters, even if she had to manipulate the moment to make it happen. But this is where your strength is tested. Not through confrontation and not through retaliation, but through stillness. Because true power isn't in controlling others, it's in mastering yourself. And the man who doesn't react is the man who no longer gives away emotional control. Don't let your pride pull you into her game. Don't try to show that you've leveled up or prove that you're unaffected by mirroring her tactics. The moment you do, you hand back the very control she's been reaching for. Instead, detach. Let her post, pose, and pretend. Let her wonder why it didn't work this time. The silence that used to make her feel powerful is now the silence that unsettles her. And the peace you've cultivated in yourself becomes something she can't ignore. Because in the absence of your reaction, she doesn't hear indifference. She hears the echo of a man she can no longer reach. And that silence, it's louder than anything she could ever post. Sign number 7. She jumps into something new to numb the void. From the outside looking in, it may appear as though she's already moved on. One moment she was quiet, and the next, there she is, posting photos with someone new, laughing in unfamiliar places, showing the world a version of herself that seems untouched by your absence. But look deeper, and you'll see the truth hiding beneath the surface. This isn't healing, it's escape. Rebounds rarely begin with genuine connection. More often, they are bandages over wounds that haven't been acknowledged, let alone healed. She's not falling in love. She's running from discomfort, from loneliness, from the echo of the space you once occupied in her life. The faster she moves into something new, the more likely it is that she's trying to outrun the silence you left behind, filling the emptiness with noise, attention, and temporary validation. This behavior isn't about you losing value. It's about her avoiding the emotions that surfaced when you stopped giving yours. Rather than sit with the questions your absence raised, questions about her choices, her feelings, and what she might have taken for granted, she reaches for distraction. Smiles become shields. New company becomes a mirror that she hopes won't reflect the pain. This is where many men falter. They see her with someone new and feel the urge to compete, to prove something, to rush into their own version of moving on. But that's not power. That's reaction. And reaction, especially when it comes from ego, only reinforces the narrative that your worth was tied to her. True power lies in choosing not to play the game. Let her run. Let her chase illusions of happiness while you quietly build something real within yourself. Time has a way of revealing what's true and what's temporary, and when that dust settles, it won't be the flash of her rebound that stands tall. It'll be the man who remained calm, who didn't chase or compete, who stayed committed to his own path. So while she distracts herself to numb the void, you rise, not to prove her wrong, but to become someone even she can't ignore if she ever stops to truly look. Let her be seen, but let your discipline be felt. In the long run, that speaks louder than any rebound ever could. Sign number 8. She gets curiously obsessed with your life. There comes a moment when the silence you've held doesn't just unsettle her, it begins to haunt her. At first, she might have told herself that your absence meant nothing, that she was unbothered, that letting go of the connection wouldn't echo beyond the moment. But then she starts to notice the void, and what fills that space is curiosity, quiet, persistent, and consuming. It shows up in subtle ways. A like on a post you shared months ago, a mutual friend casually mentioning that she asked how you've been, maybe even a message that seems innocent on the surface, but references a private memory only the two of you would recall. These aren't accidents, these are feelers, small probes to see what kind of energy you're living in now, and more importantly, if your silence was strength or surrender. She doesn't ask directly, because to ask is to admit she still cares. But make no mistake, your silence created questions she can't answer. Where did you go emotionally? Who are you becoming without her? Have you moved on? Or have you simply leveled up to a place where she no longer fits? She's not just checking in, she's trying to solve something, and what makes it more difficult for her is the fact that you're no longer predictable. You used to be an open book, one she could flip through at will, confident in how the story would unfold. But now, the pages are closed. You're no longer giving away access through constant updates or emotional transparency, and that mystery unsettles her more than any argument ever could. This is where your leverage lives, not in pretending to be distant, but in genuinely evolving to a place where you no longer seek her validation. You become less readable, not out of manipulation, but out of growth. And in doing so, you become magnetic. Let her wonder. Let her replay conversations in her mind. Let her scroll through your past, hoping to make sense of your present. Because curiosity is the seed of longing, and the man who is no longer fully visible becomes the one she can't stop thinking about. The more uncertain she is about where you stand, the more she'll feel the weight of what she once overlooked. Sign number 9, she blames you, because that's easier than facing herself. At some point, after the silence stretches longer than she expected, after the space between you no longer feels like a pause, but a new reality, she may break it. But not with softness or clarity. Instead, she might come back with frustration, with accusations that you gave up too easily, didn't care enough, or that you ghosted her without warning. To an outsider, it might seem like she's hurt because you wronged her. But you know the truth runs deeper. She's not angry because you failed her. She's angry because your silence forced her to feel what she's spent so long avoiding: responsibility. Blame is easier than reflection. It allows her to point the finger outward, to avoid the uncomfortable questions about how she contributed to the disconnect, or how she may have pushed away a man who showed up with honesty and intention. By making you the villain, she avoids facing the truth that maybe it wasn't you who left, but her who failed to meet you where you stood. This is where many men get trapped, caught in the urge to explain, to clarify, to defend their decision to step back. But you don't owe her that. Silence is not betrayal when it comes from clarity. It's not abandonment when it's the result of boundaries. You didn't walk away out of apathy. You chose to stop participating in a dynamic where your energy was unreciprocated, your presence taken for granted. That's not weakness, that's awareness. And awareness often threatens those who would rather stay comfortable in denial. So when the blame comes, and it very well might, remember that it's not truly about you. It's about what your absence reflects. It's about what your non-reaction forces her to see in herself. Don't take the bait. Don't argue. Don't try to rewrite the story she's telling herself. Let her carry the weight of her own choices. Because growth doesn't come from getting the last word. It comes from having the strength to walk away without needing to be understood. Your silence, once questioned, now speaks with quiet conviction. And in the long run, that will say more than any defense ever could. Sign number 10. She respects you more, even if she never says it. There's something powerful about a man who chooses silence, not out of bitterness, but from self-respect. A man who doesn't chase, who doesn't plead, who doesn't rush to fix what someone else allowed to break. In the moments where most would fold, where ego screams to reclaim attention or pride urges to prove worth, he stays grounded, calm, clear. And in that stillness, he earns something she may never put into words: her respect. She might not message you to say it. She may never admit it to her friends. But deep down, something shifted the day you didn't come running back. The day you didn't try to force closure. The day you chose peace over performance. That's when she stopped seeing you as someone who needed her and started seeing you as someone who didn't need anyone to feel whole. There's a rare strength in emotional independence, especially in a world where so many seek validation through noise. And the man who walks away, not in anger, but in quiet self-possession, becomes unforgettable. Not because he vanished, but because he evolved. She might move on, she might pretend none of it mattered, but she will remember the one who didn't flinch when she pulled away, the one who didn't fall apart in her silence, the one who knew his value wasn't determined by her attention. Because respect isn't about grand gestures, it's about consistency in character. And the man who holds his center when everything around him is designed to unbalance him, that's the man she will quietly admire, even if she never says it aloud. Summary: let's be honest. Earning her respect doesn't mean she'll come rushing back. She might stay silent, she might move on, or she might keep her distance, unsure of how to return to a man who no longer needs her the way he once did. But what she does feel, even if she never speaks it aloud, is a shift in how she sees you, a shift she can't unsee. When you stop reaching out, not to punish her, but because you've outgrown the need for external validation, you show her something rare. You reveal a strength that doesn't beg, doesn't explain, and doesn't ask for closure. You become the man who walks away, not out of pride, but out of clarity. And whether she admits it or not, she respects you for it. That kind of presence, a man who knows his worth and doesn't compromise it to win someone back, leaves a mark. It forces her to see you in a different light. You're no longer the man who chased her approval. You're the man who stands tall in his own lane, focused, grounded, and whole without her. Most men have been taught that constant effort, chasing and proving themselves, is what earns a woman's affection. But the truth is, the more you chase, the less she values. The more available you are, the more invisible you become. Real strength begins when you stop trying to control the outcome and allow her space to feel your absence. Not reactively, but with quiet resolve. And in that space, she begins to feel the weight of what she lost. Not because you tried to remind her, but because you simply stopped trying at all. That's when admiration is born. That's when respect takes root. And that's when you realize walking away was never a loss. It was the beginning of reclaiming your power. If any part of this spoke to your experience, if you've ever felt the quiet shift of someone pulling away or the power of holding your ground, I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. This isn't just a conversation about relationships. It's about reclaiming your sense of self, your story, your insight, your voice. They matter more than you know. And sometimes hearing your truth is what helps another man rise in his own. I'm here not just to speak, but to listen, to walk alongside you as you become the kind of man who no longer chases validation, but commands respect simply by being grounded in who he is. So, if this message resonated with you, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to Stoic Station. This space was created for men who are ready to stop reacting and start leading, with strength, with clarity, and with purpose. Let's keep building together.